The system introduces a visible ranking structure where participants are ordered relative to one another. Rewards are tied to position changes, not absolute performance gains, making rank movement the primary objective. Competitors observe that improving in isolation has limited impact unless it affects relative standing. Effort begins to shift toward outperforming immediate neighbors rather than maximizing overall capability. As rankings update frequently, short-term positional shifts become more salient than long-term improvement. Participants start prioritizing actions that produce quick relative gains, even if they do not build lasting advantage. When one competitor improves a metric, adjacent competitors must respond to avoid rank loss. This creates a reactive cycle where each move forces a counter-move, tightening competitive spacing. Performance differences begin to narrow as everyone targets the same benchmarks. The system transitions from diverse strategies to clustered optimization around visible metrics. The visible leaderboard suggests that higher rank reflects higher capability. But as strategies converge, rank increasingly reflects timing and positioning rather than underlying improvement. Competitors recognize that maintaining rank requires continuous adjustment to others' moves. Stability is replaced by constant micro-adaptations to prevent downward shifts. As compression intensifies, the cost of small mistakes increases. A minor underperformance now results in immediate rank loss due to tight clustering. This raises the penalty sensitivity within the system. Actors become more risk-averse, avoiding strategies that could introduce temporary dips. Instead of pursuing higher performance ceilings, competitors focus on minimizing downside variance. Behavior reorganizes around consistency rather than advancement. The leaderboard continues to signal progress through rank changes. Yet these movements increasingly occur within a compressed performance band. The apparent competition remains active, but meaningful differentiation declines. Actors are competing intensely over marginal differences. When one participant attempts a novel strategy, others hesitate to follow. The risk of falling behind outweighs the uncertain benefit of divergence. This creates a coordination lock where deviation becomes strategically dominated. The system suppresses experimentation despite ongoing competition. Over time, capability growth slows across the entire field. Effort is redirected toward maintaining relative position rather than expanding absolute performance. Frequent ranking updates reinforce this behavior by continuously exposing positional risk. Participants remain locked into short feedback cycles that discourage long-term investment. As cumulative capability erodes, the system still appears competitive from the outside. Rank changes persist, masking the underlying stagnation. The leaderboard continues to function as designed, distributing rewards based on position. But the structure now incentivizes preservation over progression. Each competitor monitors those directly above and below, narrowing their strategic focus. Global optimization is replaced by local defensive positioning. The interaction loop sustains itself as every action triggers a positional response. No participant can disengage without risking immediate rank loss. The system reaches a state where all actors are actively competing but no longer advancing. Relative movement continues, but absolute performance remains constrained. As performance compression tightens, competitors begin reallocating effort toward monitoring rather than execution. Tracking small movements in ranking becomes necessary to anticipate threats from adjacent positions, increasing coordination load without increasing capability. This monitoring behavior feeds back into the loop, because faster detection of rank shifts triggers faster reactions. The interaction cycle accelerates, shortening decision windows and reinforcing short-term responsiveness over long-term development. Frequent updates amplify this effect by continuously resetting the reference point for success. Each update redefines what counts as safe position, forcing competitors to adjust even when absolute performance has not changed. Over time, this creates a mismatch between capability development and evaluation cycles. Capabilities require cumulative investment, but ranking rewards immediate positional stability, pushing effort away from long-horizon improvements. As more competitors adopt the same defensive logic, the system's baseline behavior shifts. Maintaining position becomes the dominant strategy, and any attempt to disengage from the loop results in immediate relative loss. This introduces a reinforcement dynamic where participation in the loop is no longer optional. Competitors are locked into continuous adjustment simply to preserve their current standing. Because rankings are public, each competitor's position also becomes a signal for others' actions. A small upward move by one actor forces multiple adjacent actors to respond simultaneously, amplifying local changes into system-wide reactions. This propagation effect compresses reaction timing across the entire field. What begins as a local adjustment quickly cascades into synchronized behavior shifts among competitors. As synchronization increases, the system loses strategic diversity at a structural level. Different competitors begin reacting in similar ways at similar times, further tightening performance clustering. The loop now operates with both high frequency and high coupling between actors. Each action not only affects immediate neighbors but indirectly shapes the response patterns of the broader system. At this stage, the leaderboard still reflects movement, but the nature of that movement changes. Position changes become more frequent yet less meaningful, as they occur within an increasingly narrow performance band. This creates a signal distortion where rank volatility appears as active competition. In reality, the system is circulating within a constrained range, without expanding its overall capability. The cost of breaking from the loop continues to rise as compression intensifies. Any deviation introduces a temporary performance gap that competitors immediately exploit, reinforcing conformity. As a result, competitors begin internalizing the constraints imposed by the ranking structure. Behavior becomes pre-aligned with expected reactions, reducing the need for explicit adjustment while preserving the same equilibrium. The system no longer requires active escalation to maintain itself. The interaction loop becomes self-sustaining, with each competitor preemptively acting to avoid predictable rank loss. At this point, even if the frequency of updates were reduced, the behavioral pattern would persist. The equilibrium has hardened into a stable configuration where relative positioning governs all strategic decisions. At equilibrium, the system no longer rewards capability expansion as a primary path to advancement. What it rewards instead is the ability to hold position within a tightly compressed ranking, shifting effort toward defensive optimization. Signals that once indicated improvement now carry less weight than signals that indicate positional stability. The system begins to ignore absolute gains that do not translate into rank movement, narrowing the definition of valuable performance. Penalties also reorganize around this structure. Small deviations from the compressed band trigger immediate rank loss, increasing the cost of experimentation and reinforcing uniform behavior. Compared to the earlier state where improvement could translate into upward movement, the system now constrains upward mobility through synchronized adaptation. Progress becomes conditional on others' movements, reducing independent advancement as a viable strategy. The resulting equilibrium stabilizes a pattern where all competitors remain active yet structurally constrained. Behavior aligns with preserving relative position because the incentive structure no longer rewards anything beyond it.